Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really essential if you're a manufacturer, or honestly, if you're just curious about how products actually land safely in consumers' hands.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about compliance and certification,
Mm-hmm.
specifically within the Indian market.
Which is a huge and growing market.
Exactly. And we've got some source material here that we've been looking through. And our job really is to pull out the key bits for you, give you that shortcut to understanding what's going on.
And it's important stuff because product standards, they aren't just red tape, not really. They're sort of the bedrock of safety and consumer trust. They let people feel confident buying things.
Yeah, that trust element is key.
Especially when you're trying to break into a new market or build a brand.
Okay, so based on what we have, we're zooming in a bit. We're focusing on manufacturing bunk beds for the Indian market. Seems specific, but it's a good case study.
It is.
So the big question we're tackling is, if you're making bunk beds, planning to sell them in India, what's the absolute #1 thing you need to sort out to make sure your product is compliant and, like you said, trusted? And right away, the material we looked at is pretty blunt about it. If you're making bunk beds for India, your product absolutely has to meet the latest Indian standards. We're talking safety, durability.
Right. Non-negotiable.
It's like the entry ticket. You don't have it, you're not getting in.
Exactly. And the specific standard to know is IS 18636.2022.
Okay.
That's the official Indian standard for bunk beds.
Yeah.
It's put out by the Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS.
Right, BIS, heard of them.
And that 2022 is important, means it's the latest version, updated with the most current thinking on safety. Things like structural strength, how much weight it can hold, guardrail heights, ladder safety, all that stuff.
So you really need to be on top of the detail.
Oh, definitely. Missing even a small requirement in IS 17636 could cause big headaches later, costly ones.
Okay, so it's clearly required. But you mentioned trust and reputation earlier. Does the source talk about how BIS certification actually helps with that? Beyond just, being legal.
Yeah.
And what really happens if you don't have it? Can you just not sell? Are there fines?
Well, the source strongly emphasizes that point. It frames BIS certification not just as a legal must-do, but specifically as a way to, and I quote loosely here, build customer trust and really boost your brand's reputation.
Okay.
And on-market access. It's crystal clear. Doesn't matter if you're making them inside India or exporting from somewhere else. Getting DIS certified is described as a must.
A must.
Yeah, without it, you effectively can't sell your bunk beds in the Indian market. It's a practical barrier.
Wow. Okay, so if it's that critical, the next logical step for manufacturers is how? How do you actually navigate this? It sounds potentially quite complicated, like you said, red tape city if you don't know the way.
Right, and that complexity is exactly why you see specialized services popping up.
Makes sense.
Our source material actually mentions one company, Qualitance India. They position themselves as a one-stop solution for BIS certification.
A one-stop solution. Okay.
Yeah, their whole pitch is basically simplifying that journey for businesses, which, suggests it is a complex journey for many.
So what does that journey look like, according to the source? They say they help with the entire certification journey from documentation to testing to approval. What are the typical sticking points, even with help? Does the source hint at that?
It doesn't detail specific client hurdles, but generally, the tough parts often involve getting the initial documentation, perfect detailed blueprints, material specs, your quality control plans. That has to be spot on.
Okay.
Then there's the actual physical testing. That's where IS 18636.2022 really comes into play with all those safety checks we mentioned.
Right, the guardrails, the structure.
Exactly. And a common issue can be failing tests because of maybe a minor design oversight or some inconsistency in materials that wasn't obvious before testing.
I can see that happening.
And interestingly, Qualitance India, according to the source, claims expertise beyond just BIS. They mention NABL and ISO 14025 as well.
NABL and ISO 14025, what are those?
So NABL is India's main body for accrediting testing labs, and ISO 14025 is the international standard for lab competence.
Okay, so it's not just about the product standard, but ensuring the testing itself is up to snuff, internationally recognized quality.
Precisely. It adds another layer of credibility, suggesting the testing process they facilitate meets global benchmarks.
That makes sense. So let's bring it back to the business angle. The source says Qualitance aims to simplify compliance so you can focus on growing your business. What does simplify likely mean in practice? Saving time, money, just reducing stress. They also mention having hundreds of satisfied clients.
Yeah, I think it's likely a combination of all those. Time is definitely a big one. Navigating bureaucracy takes time away from, product development or sales. Cost savings could be there too, by avoiding mistakes, retesting, delays, and certainly reducing the headache factor.
Yeah.
The core message seems to be compliance is vital for access. It can be tricky, so services exist to make it smoother.
Right.
And their tagline, improving quality and competence, kind of sums that up. It's about meeting the rules, yes, but also about being genuinely better, more competent in the market.
Okay, so let's tie this all together for you, the listener. What we're seeing here is that understanding these very specific standards like IS 19636.2022 for bunk beds in India, and also understanding the ecosystem around them, like these certification services, is just fundamental if you want to operate in certain markets.
Absolutely.
It really highlights how many layers of checks and balances exist behind the scenes for products we might just buy without a second thought.
And it leaves you with something to think about, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How much do these specific product certifications,
Yeah.
they seem niche, like just for bunk beds in India. How much are they actually shaping global trade? Are they the unsung heroes forcing companies to build quality in from the start?
That's a good question.
Or on the flip side, could they sometimes, maybe unintentionally, make it harder for smaller companies to compete, even though the goal is safety? It's a complex balance.
Definitely something to mull over. And just to be practical, if this discussion about bunk bed certification or BIS certification in general is relevant to you and you want to look into it more, the source material did provide contact details for Qualitance India.
Right.
Their email is qualitanceindia@hotmail.com. That's qualitanceindia@hotmail.com. And there are phone numbers too. +91 852 763 1041 or +91 9310 615 170. We'll make sure those are available alongside this deep dive.